play. I wanna sing my song. I just wanna run and not be gone too long, 'cause this time is precious still. I wanna keep it close to me. I'm wishing on a star to make more time to see. You can always dream. You can put your life on hold, 'cause time won't wait for you. You can always see what is here in the now, and then you'll find out how to keep dreaming. You can always dream. No one's taken that from you. Only you can see it through, just like the way you do. So feed it from your soul and weigh it from both sides. The fulcrum and the tides will give direction that you'll know. You can always dream. You can put your life on hold, 'cause time won't wait for you. You can always see what is here in the now, and then you'll find out how to keep dreaming. When you make the time, it's a game of give and take. When the balance is at stake, you need to take a look inside. Look deep into your heart and remember how it feels. It's where the answer lies and tells you what is real. You can always dream. You can put your life on hold, 'cause time won't wait for you. You can always see what is here in the now,
Celebration Center and welcome. My name is Stephanie Snow. I am a board member here at the Celebration Center, and today I am your host. So I'd like to go into a short silent meditation. You can close your eyes or have a soft gaze. Focus on your breathing. Allow your breath to do whatever it wants to take in and to release. Allow joy, happiness, soulfulness, love to come in and allow it to go out and spread throughout the world. Each breath. Inhaling and releasing. Knowing that you are surrounded by love, surrounded by light. Knowing that God is here right now. And so it is. If you are in the room, please remember to silence your cell phones. We have a wonderful service plan for you. First of all, our tech crew is here. They're pretty much invisible, but I can see them. I know they're here. Our speaker is, Jim, what's our speaker name? Lockhart, thank you. I know his name, and I actually asked Arena if he could please be here because the last time he spoke, I was so impressed by him. So you can blame me or give me the credit. We also have our musician, Valeria Stewart. And I'm introducing her now to be ready to come up. She is a singer and songwriter. She is from Buenos Aires, but she grew up here, and now she's a preschool teacher in Falls Church. And she performs solo and in a trio called Crooked Sparrow. And she does a blend of Latin, folk, jazz, and American roots. Her first EP released in 2020 is Alchemist's Journey, and she is now working on a Latin EP of original songs. Please welcome with me, Valeria Stewart. Yeah.
Thank you. Get my iPad ready. I often play at Three Whistles Coffee Shop in Clarendon. I've played at Lebaron Amphitheater in Arlington, which is right near where I live, and I'll be playing some album releases coming up. Hopefully, one might be at Jam and Java, maybe in Hank Deedles in Maryland, and so right now I'm looking around for concerts. But I'm also doing some work with George Mason University. They have a campus program for students and for public to come out when the weather's nice. They have a nice plaza in Courthouse, Clarendon area, and I'm going to be playing there soon too. And my schedule is up on my website, so please check in. Thank you. The theme has to do with this next song, I think, connected to March and the air and the wind. And I work with kids, and I love the words that they use. Sometimes they pick up feathers on the ground and delicate things and things that we might not care for so much, like dandelions. I love dandelions. And this song came about from that. am a feather light and free. Dandelion wind, carry me. Hold me soft and take me high. Then I will touch the sky. Bones and boundaries weigh me down, and I'm falling, touch the ground. Ragged and weary ancient tree, crooked limbs cradle me. And when the moon comes crying, carry me, carry me, ooh, carry me. Hold the sky and grab the earth, keeping still to be heard. The day arrives on faded dreams, tender memories. I am a feather light and free. Dandelion wind, carry me. A quiet breath, an open door, living gift, wind to soar. And when the moon comes smiling, carry me, carry me, ooh, carry me. Carry me, carry me. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Valeria. Let's give her more love, more applause. If you are new to us, we would love to get to know you. You can online tell us your name and how you found us and where you're from. If you're in person, you can stand up and introduce yourself. But if you're online, you can introduce yourself in the chat. And if you give us your email on a guest card, we'll send you a fantastic newsletter.
I'm Rob. I'm not here for the first time. I was here, I guess about 6 or 7 years ago. For the two services. I think when you were next door, maybe. And I was a member of the Riverside Church in Princeton for many years. Some time ago, but I just got curious and started coming to check it out.
Thank you so much, Rob. Yeah, great. And if you fill out a guest card right over there, as I said before, you'll get a newsletter telling you all the things going on. So now I'd like you to read the purpose with me. Celebrating spirit within and knowing the oneness of all life. And I have a reading from Science of Mind, 365 Days. The Spirit of God, which is life, is present everywhere. Like the air we breathe, it presses against us. On the mountaintop, in the valley, in the desert, and in the ocean. There is no place where life is not. Therefore, in whatsoever direction we move in God. In God we live, move, and have our being. God is one undivided and indivisible wholeness, one divine and spiritual presence, one universal and all-encompassing being. Perhaps it is a little difficult for us to understand the meaning of such an all-inclusive person, but the very fact that we are personalities presupposes such a conclusion. Our endeavor then is not so much to find God, to discover the divine source of our personal being, as it is to become acquainted with God. And now I invite you to close your eyes or have a soft gaze. And we're going to do a 3-part breath. Inhale. Hold. And exhale. Inhale. Hold. And exhale. Inhale, hold, and exhale. I know that the divine presence is all, is everything, is one. We call this love, we call this life. We call this good. I know that I am an aspect, an expression of this divine oneness. And as I know that I am one with this oneness, that I have the power to create, that I see with the eyes of God, I create with the hands of God, that we are all able to do this as we are all one with God. And I know that I am creating peace, that we are creating peace, that we are creating joy, that we are creating love, acceptance, and wholeness. And I give thanks for this, knowing that I am a creative, divine being, as you all are also. And I release this prayer, and so it is. If you would like prayer, we have a Ministry of Prayer team. You can fill out this card, or you can go into the QR code or log on to our website. Well, you don't log on. From our website, you can request a prayer. And now I'd like to welcome Valeria again, for our special music.
Thank you, Stephanie. My husband, Steve, suggested this next song. It's a Cat Stevens song, and it's one of my favorites. It's called The Wind.
I listen to the wind of my soul. Where I'll end up, well, I think only God really knows. I've sat upon the setting sun, but never, never, I never needed water once. No, never, never. I listen to my words, but they fall far below. I let my music take me where my heart wants to go. But never, never, I never made the same mistake. No, never, never. I listen to the wind with the wind of my soul. Where it takes me, well, I think only God really knows. I've sat upon the setting sun, but never, never, I never needed water once. No, never, never. Oh, the wind of my soul, only God really knows. Thank you.
Thank you, Valeria. Valeria. The English speaker in me wants to say Valeria, but I need to activate the Spanish speaker in me. Valeria. And now, for our encouragement, I'd like to introduce Reverend Dr. Jim Lockhart. He's an ordained minister, a speaker, author, many other things, but basically I'll call him a New Thought leader. He grew up in Baltimore, but he now lives in France with his wife, Dorianne Cotter Lockhart. For 20 years, Jim served as a spiritual leader in the Centers for Spiritual Living in California, Florida, and Maryland. And he served on boards, the Board for International Centers for Spiritual Living and the advisory board of the Association for Global New Thought. And he's a certified coach in spiral dynamics. And he's written books and parts of books, two of them being The Beloved Community and Creating the Beloved Community. There are many more things that I could tell you about him, but I'd rather just have you experience him. And I have to say that the last time I saw him talk here, I went to Arena, who schedules our speakers, and I said, please bring Jim Lockhart back. So I'm happy to take responsibility for this. Hi, Jim.
Well, thank you so much. Well, it's wonderful to be back with you all. And I was there, some of you may remember I was there in person several years ago, and I've been there virtually a couple of times. Actually, I just returned from the US a couple days ago, so I'm a little jet lagged. We were attending to some family business in California, and it's good to be back home. What I wanted to talk about today was sort of under the umbrella of getting back to basics, if you will, in our teaching, because I think this is a time in many of our lives when it's important to remember those basic ideas that support our use and understanding of this amazing teaching that we call the science of mind. And I wanted to share a little bit about sort of the basic idea of what is our philosophy and what is our theology. Uh, in this context, philosophy is a statement of a fact or a belief. You might say that there is a God, and whatever name you give to that God, the philosophy would be that that God exists. And the theology would be, how do we be in relationship to, or how do we access that God and its actions and its beingness? Another way of looking at this might be if, let's say, do you believe Seattle exists? And some of you may never have been to Seattle. And if you've never been to Seattle, but you believe it exists, how strong is your belief? Would you get on a plane to go there if you had never been there? You see, so the philosophy would be that Seattle exists. The theology might be how to get there. Maybe you go by plane or train or automobile or take a boat. You know, there's all kinds of ways to get there. So in our lives, the various traditions of religion and spirituality are often theological ways of approaching a deity or a God or spirit or whatever, again, the name you give it based upon the nature and the way you understand it. There was a study done in the 1990s at some point that showed that for adult Americans, their view of the nature of God tended to almost universally match their view of the way things were in their household when they were young and small. That some people lived in kind of an Old Testament household where there was a lot of fire and brimstone. Some people lived in what I would call a New Testament household where there was more love and forgiveness and acceptance. And the idea of, do I live in a friendly universe or do I live in a dangerous universe, is often inculcated into us as young children. And it's something we often carry through life unless we find a way to learn something new and to accept something new. I think that helps describe the philosophy and theology of our teaching pretty well, because the philosophy of our teaching is that God, or spirit, or the creative intelligence of the universe, or whatever name you use for it, is essentially a being of the absolute. It is everything. It is all that there is. And as Thomas Troward said, the great teacher of New Thought in England, that was an inspiration for Ernest Holmes, that the universe came about because spirit, through some act of inner contemplation, created out of itself our universe and became what it created. So that all of creation is part of, or an aspect of, or within the creator. This is something that New Thought as New Thought emerged in the late 19th and early 20th century. This was something that was revolutionary in American, at least, religious thinking, because in the Eastern traditions, the idea of oneness, the idea of it's all part of God, it's all part of the beingness of one ultimate supreme idea or spirit, was very common and has been very common. But in the Abrahamic traditions of the West that predominate in the West, that's not necessarily so. It is in some fractions of the various Abrahamic traditions, but not in the mainstream. In the mainstream, it's creator and creation are separate. And it says that as human beings, we can only access God by an external means. We have to pray, we have to sacrifice, we have to fast, we have to do things, often through an intermediary. We have to go through maybe a priest or a saint in order to have access to God. And that God sits in judgment, and that God does things to affect our lives because of our behavior or because of the way God thinks of us. New Thought said no. Based upon a 19th century view of the world, which was far advanced over the world that we understood it in biblical times, based on a 19th century view of the world with emerging Western psychology and understanding of the mind and thought and the power of thought, we must understand, we must come to believe anyway, that spirit is without personality. It's without gender. It is Father, Mother, God. It is the all. It is everything. And that spirit has it's infinite. Now, this is really an important idea, and it's one that we often don't emphasize when we're looking at the teaching. What does it mean to be infinite? If spirit is infinite, then how can anything be separate? Well, it can't, you see, because you can't have an infinite and something. Because if there's something that exists outside of the infinite or beyond the infinite, then the infinite isn't infinite. So this idea of the infinite nature of spirit is really critical to us accepting that we are one with it. Does that make sense? That I am one with God. I cannot be separate from God. I cannot be condemned by God. I cannot be thrown out of the garden, if you will, to be separate, because that would be against the nature of the universe in which I live. And the universe in which I live is a part of this absolute one spirit. And the idea of spirit or God having no personality is important too, because it means God isn't sitting up there judging you and deciding to send bad things to you because you're misbehaving, or send good things to you because you're behaving. And the Bible was fairly, there were a lot of Bible stories about this where innocent people were sent plagues and so forth, and where good people, where guilty people were rewarded, just like happens in everyday life to some extent. So what we're left with, as in New Thought philosophy and theology, is that the nature of spirit is to be infinite. Now, another aspect of the infinite is you can't add anything to it. So nothing new can be created within an infinite, because everything must already exist. But since we exist in a field of duality, as someone already mentioned in the chat, as we exist in a field of duality where in order to have a physical nature, we have to come out of the oneness, pure oneness, into a place of duality where we sort of, as beings, we kind of have one foot in the infinite and one foot in the physical reality that we live and move and have our being in. So that means we have to have problems. We have to fall into what Joseph Campbell and others call the field of opposites. So there's good and bad. There's life and death, and so forth. So you have these polarities of these opposites that we exist on a continuum between, and that we move in and out of as we go through our lives. So when we're challenged, when we face difficulty, what it generally means from a psychological perspective is that something new is being called forth from us that either we have never had expressed before, or that we've expressed before and forgotten. Sometimes we're called to be compassionate when we've forgotten how to be compassionate, or when we feel like we don't need to be compassionate. Sometimes we're called to be strong and brave and courageous when that's not who we see ourselves to be at that moment. So out of the infinite, with everything created, what that means is, where is it? Where is everything? Is everything possible already in physical form? Well, I don't think so, at least not in this universe. But everything possible does exist as what we call potential, the field of potential. And as a thinking being, I actualize aspects of the field of potential according to what's in my mind, or what we call our consciousness, my consciousness, and I bring it into actualization from potential. So we are actualizing beings in that construct. So the question is, what are you actualizing? And who determines what you actualize? And I would argue that in the realm of cause and effect, I determine what I actualize. I determine it by the way I think and what I come to accept, what I come to believe, what I come to know. And I'll give you a quick example. I used to play golf a lot. And when I got into this teaching, I started to use my, little better use my visualization skills and things like that to improve my golf game. And I was playing golf one day with a friend, and we were talking about this idea of sort of not mind over matter so much, but creating a positive mindset to invite good outcomes into our lives. And he said, yeah, I do that all the time. And we happened to be on a hole in a golf course that had a water hazard. So from the you tee off, and then there would be about 150 yards of water before there was the green. And I said to him, okay, let's look at what you're doing right now. And I noticed a couple things. See, I said, tell me where you want the ball to go. And he said, well, I want it to go on the green in the hole if I can get it. And I said, yeah, but where do you expect it to go? He goes, what do you mean? And he sort of hesitated. I expect it to go on the green. And I said, then why did you take out an old ball? You see, he'd taken out an old ball out of his bag that had scratches and so forth on it because he expected to hit it into the water. See, and when I pointed that out to him, he got mad and immediately hit it into the water. But see, how often do we do that? How often do we take out a bad ball? How often do we set ourselves up to have a limited experience because we're afraid, we haven't convinced ourselves in a sense that we're worthy of the good experience or that the good experience is within us, right? So a big part of learning the teaching is, and the theology of the teaching is, how do I get to that connection with the divine presence within me, is to create a consciousness by my thoughts and feelings that lends itself to good things happening, to me becoming a magnet for good, to me being able to actualize more good out of potential and less not so good out of potential. And that's really, I think, what a lot of it boils down to. And it's not just about playing games, it's also about living, about how you are with your family, about how you are in your work, about what kind of people you are attracted to and attract into your life, and how you interact with them. You see, we become convinced of things that aren't true through various means, and then once we accept that the thing that isn't true, we tend to continually reproduce it. Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever had a problem or something that seemed insoluble? You couldn't figure out a way to get past it, and then maybe somebody points something out to you, or you have a dream that gives you a solution, or somehow it just sort of percolates up through your subconscious into your conscious mind, and all of a sudden you don't have the problem anymore. Where are you on your journey of self-development that puts you into a place of acceptance of greater good? When I was in the first grade, it was really challenging to do first grade work. And the kids that were in the fourth or fifth grade thought I was being silly because, oh my God, that's so easy, first grade work. And I'm like, I'm struggling with the alphabet and things like that. But 1 week after I left first grade, I had declared myself a second grader. You see, my parents were pretty good at helping me to see myself in a positive light in that regard. So I was a second grader. I mean, bring it on. I'm ready now. And then after that, things got fairly easier for me because I saw myself as being able to do the requirements of that particular situation in a better way. I was a police officer for 24 years in Maryland and in Florida. And when I went into police work, looking back on it now, I realized I went into police work because I didn't have a good sense of my own authority. I do believe that sometimes when we're in those younger years, we subconsciously seek out positions that will challenge us to rise above a limited self-image. So I thought, I don't have a sense of my own authority, but I can put on the uniform and the badge, and that'll give me the authority. And after a while of doing that job, I began to realize I was pretty good at it, you see, and my attitude about it shifted. I was able to see myself as a good, effective police officer, which meant also that I was more ethical, that I was able to be more humane, because I didn't see myself putting myself at risk from an authority standpoint by being more proactive and sometimes kind to people that I encountered in the job. So all of this stems from my concept of what kind of universe I live in, of what kind of spirit inhabits this universe and inhabits me. Is it a punishing spirit or is it a loving spirit? And Science of Mind tells us it's a loving spirit, that there is no punishment, but the consequence of our own actions and thoughts. And it's important to remember that because, there are times we have difficulty. There are times that we're challenged. There are times that we're ill. There are times that we're mistreated. And it's important in those times to be able to recall that sense of self, that ability to step forward into a new way of being. So a lot of the science of mind is remembering. A lot of being an effective human being is remembering your deepest truths, even when maybe you haven't paid attention for a while. You haven't been doing your spiritual practices. You haven't been affirming. You haven't been meditating. And then inevitably something will come up to challenge you, and you'll come to the realization that, hey, I haven't been doing this. I haven't been taking care of myself in that respect. And it's important to remember to go back to that, or to start it for the first time, no matter what your age is. I found this teaching in midlife. I was in my 40s when I began to attend the Science of Mind Center in Fort Lauderdale back in 1989. Actually, I was in my late 30s. And I found a new version of myself through that. It was powerful, and it opened vistas for me to live the kind of life I live today, where I'm retired. I still write, I still speak occasionally, I still, try to be involved with our beloved organization, Centers for Spiritual Living, in some degree or another. But I also recognize that what's for me to do now is to live my best life and to find ways to contribute to others doing the same. And in order to do that, you have to lay the groundwork. You have to lay the groundwork in mind, in heart, in body, so that when you get into your senior years, as I am, you're able to bring the best version of yourself forward, the wisdom you've accumulated, hopefully, the experiences that you've learned from, and help others along the way. One nice thing about being in France is the way they count. There's no number for 70 in France, no such number. They go 60-10, which is 70. So I'm 73 in English, but in French, I'm 60-13, 73. So I feel younger just from that. See, little things, little suggestions that can help you along the way. But I do hope you remember the basis of our teaching. Ernest Holmes, one of the most important lines in the whole Science of Mind textbook, he says, God or spirit can only do for you what it can do through you. And that's something I take to heart, and I remember every day. It become a mantra for me. That if, another way of putting it in the secular world, often you may hear, is if it's to be, it's up to me. Well, it's up to me to have the right mental construct, the right mental and emotional set, so that I am best able to actualize out of the infinite field of potential an experience of life that is positive and vibrant and joyful. And that is what I wish for you today. So thank you so much. And let's close with a prayer treatment. Join me in consciousness. This I know. Spirit is all there is. There is nothing else. Spirit is all I am. There is nothing else. All of me is spirit, but I am not all of spirit. But I have access to all of spirit. I have access to the infinite potential that has already been created, that is already generated, and waits for me to say yes to it. The best version of myself in terms of physical health, in terms of mental health, in terms of emotional stability and the ability to experience joy, in terms of loving relationship, in terms of important and vocational work that helps me to serve myself and others, in terms of having enough to spare and enough to share, in terms of abundance of every kind. All of that is within me and has already been created and awaits me saying yes. So that's what I do right now. I say yes to a greater good. I say yes to a greater version of myself. I say yes to releasing what is in the way in my own mind, in my own consciousness, from my ability to actualize the best. I say yes for all of you and for the wonderful community, the Celebration Center. It is a divine idea in the mind of spirit, evidenced by your presence. And I urge you to appreciate that and support it, because it's part of your own growth and development. And I give thanks for this realization in my life, this realization that grows every day, as I practice, as I pray, as I treat, as I meditate, this practice helps me to realize at a deeper level every day who and what I am and the magnificence of this universe. So I'm grateful for that. And I release this word into the law, into that creative field that we call mind, knowing it is done to us as we believe. And so it is. Namaste. Thank you.
All right, this next song is a song of appreciation for someone I love. And it's in Spanish, but just imagine in yourself looking into the eyes of someone that you love dearly, and that's what it's about. Como pasan los años y tus ojos claros reflejan el sol. Cuando me miras feliz, mi alma sale de su caracol. Acompáñame siempre, eres mi amor. Eres mi amor. Los reflejos del sol te iluminan el alma hasta tu corazón. Tu mirada así llega y me enlazo contigo otra vez. Cariño infinito, eres mi amor. Eres mi amor. Ya van tantos años en que rompen las olas y su ruido nos dan penas y alegrías que alumbran los rayos del sol. Acompáñame siempre, eres mi amor. Eres mi amor. Eres mi amor. Thank you.
Música bella. Gracias, Valeria. Let's give her another thank you. And also thank you to Reverend Jim for your wisdom and information. A science of mind explainer. So, you know what? I'd like to throw up that graphic on prayer treatment. Throw up. I didn't mean that. So we talk about our affirmative prayer process a lot and do it. And it's not, we don't have dogma in Science of Mind. You can pray any way you want. But this is what Ernest Holmes recommended, who is, he wasn't our founder because he wasn't trying to found a religion, but he is our inspiration. And he wasn't so much saying, this is how you have to pray, as he was saying, this is how prayer works. This is what's happening with prayer. And so as you look at this, you can see the recognition, acknowledge that there is one presence, unification, realizing that I am part of that presence. And we call God presence, power, love, joy. There are many words for God. If you don't want to use the word God, you don't have to. And the realization is to state whatever you want to happen or whatever you can see happening. And then the thanksgiving is you're expressing gratitude for knowing the power of prayer. And then also that's releasing. Like you plant a seed and you don't keep digging it up. You just keep watering it, knowing that it's going to grow into what you planted, if it has what it needs to grow. Okay, science of mind according to Stephanie. It may be a little fractured, but it may not be the official version, but I'm an aspect of God, so I can tell you whatever I want to tell you, knowing that it is true for me. Thanks, Ivor and Aiden. And now it is time for our gifts and offerings. We are a tithing community, and that means, I want to make sure we understand what that means. That means that we tithe. We take what we get from you all, and we give a tenth of that to certain organizations. And I can't say them what they are off the top of my head, but the board decides it's like one of our organizations is Jose Andres's or World Kitchen. People are like giving me, they're telling me, yeah, this is what it is. And another that we do is the local food bank, the Arlington Food Bank. So that's what that means. We give a tenth of what we get from you. So your presence is a gift to our community, and we are very grateful for it. There are several ways that you can donate. You can, if you're here, you can drop it into the basket over there on the table. You can scan the QR code. You can visit our website, celebrationcenter.org, and click on the Give button, or you can mail it in. And our address is in celebrationcenter.org. And now I'd like you to say with me our offertory affirmation. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And Ingi is saying, I do give thanks that this is so, and so it is. She's putting that thanksgiving into that prayer because she's a practitioner. And now I will bless the donations using that 5-part prayer. Although I don't have to, I just choose to. I know that in this universe there is only one God, one power, one presence, one love, one life. I know that this presence is expressed in me and all of you, each of you. I know that as I am an aspect of this presence, that I have the power of creation and I see the world through God's eyes. And with these eyes, with this creation, I bless the donations knowing that they are going to help us shine our light bigger and brighter in the world, to touch people with the love, the awareness that all is well. I do give thanks that this is so, and I release this prayer into the law. And so it is. I'm glad I have people reminding me what to say. It's great. We're all one. We're all God. We're all good. And now for some announcements. Today, after the service, we have a discussion group. Let's talk about God. So stick around. People wanted to share and hear other people's version of what they believe and who is this person being called God. What is God? What does it mean if we believe in God? How do we take this science of mind and express it? And it's facilitated. That's to kind of, make sure nobody runs on forever. Next week, after our service, we'll have a board meeting, and it may be more interesting that you think, and I do want to say that you can check out. You can come for a little while, and if it just goes on, which sometimes it does, you're welcome to just leave. But you might show up and just see what you think, and it is online, as is our discussion group. It'll be here, but it will be online. And also next week is Reverend Raymond Anderson, who we know and love and is now teaching a foundations course. So I wonder if anybody has any joys or sorrows that they would like to share. It's fine if you don't. I just thought I'd put it out there. Well, let me tell you one of my joys. About a year and a half ago, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's. So that didn't feel like a joy at the time. However, there was great medical care that I had available, great medication that I have available. Thank you, scientists. Thank you, doctors. And because I have Parkinson's, for free, I get to do indoor climbing. And I do it twice every week. Yes. I go up a wall for 40 or 60 feet. And it is such a joy. So that's my joy. Oh, because exercise is good for your brain, and it's been shown to have benefits for people with Parkinson's, but really exercise is good for everybody. It's just that my brain might need it more than yours. Okay, and now I would like to invite Valeria up for another canción. Canción. See, Valeria will decide.
Muy bien, canción. All right. I tried to select a few songs that are as sort of in the connection with the month and with the theme, and I guess kind of loosely. This is called The Alchemist's Journey. It was a story that I read a couple years ago and decided to write a song about it with a friend. And basically it's the story of a journey to find the gold, and it's really, in the end, inside of all of us. So that's the lesson. I've been running to you in a restless driving wind, from mountaintop to desert, seeking what was lost within. Always looking out like a beacon in a storm. Every dream now leads me through an open door. Spinning memories go past on this journey home. I missed another turn, it doesn't change. There lies the calm, it's home, it's home. Reckoning of forces, curvature of time, mystery of places, knowledge kept inside. The one I trusted betrayed and set me free. Risen from the ashes, truth now carries me. Breathe the air and stay the distance on this journey home. Leave your longing for the treasured gold. There lies the calm. It's home, it's home. When I found the answer, the lies came undone. Unity of nature, me, the wind, the sun. From this faraway dream I've returned to find truth waiting in the love I left behind. Breathe the air and stay the distance on this journey home. Leave your longing for the treasured gold. There lies the calm. It's home, it's home. It's home, it's home.
Yes, Valeria. And I want to remind you that our practitioners are happy to pray with you after service, and Ingi is a practitioner. And I used to be a practitioner, so, I mean, really, anyone can pray for you, but, you know, I would pray for you, but I'm not an official practitioner. Ed is, oh yeah, Ed is a practitioner, yes. So just, if you want a short prayer, just grab one of us. Pick Ed before you pick me, because he's still official, but it's fine. Oh, he's retired too. Oh, excuses, excuses. We can still pray, and we do. So if you would like to stand up for our closing affirmation. Repeat after me. Something wonderful in my life is happening right now.
Something wonderful in my life is happening right now.
I am ready for it.
I am ready for it.
I have been preparing for it.
I've been preparing for it.
I'm bringing the best equipment I have for it.
I'm bringing the best equipment I have for it.
I know it, I see it, I feel it,
I know it, I see it, I feel it,
and I give thanks.
and I give thanks.
And so it is.